There's a Neil Young song, I'm a Union Man, and I like playing it. And we all just, I think in general, Congresswoman Edwards, we all realize, what unions did and the role that unions in the past have played in the burgeoning middle class and all the good things that have come from unions. But we also are aware of some of the ways maybe that it hasn't been positive overall. Why did we decline to 7% in the country from much higher levels? And are we on our way back up? And is that a good thing?
Well, first of all, this didn't happen in isolation. Part of the reason for the decline in labor organizing has had to do with state aggressive administrations trying to forestall union organization and representation. Has to do with rules changes, has to do with presidents and congressional administrations that have fought against unionization. And so that's not a surprise there's been a decline, but I think part of the reason that we're seeing this increase right now in favorability of unions and in union organizing is because workers recognize the power in working together and organizing. And I think that's a good thing for the American public. I mean, unions brought us minimum wage, union brought us a 7-day work week, all of those things. And so workers are quick to realize that. I mean, I sat in on a union vote count of Starbucks in Baltimore City, and it was euphoric when the workers there won the right to collective bargaining. And so I think that workers across the United States are seeing the power in that and now also have a president in President Biden who is supportive of unions and openly supportive of unions. And I think you saw that relationship in the railway negotiation that took place over the last couple of days.
Congresswoman Mace, obviously there's another side of the story, and I don't know whether unions with a target on their back by certain legislators, whether we really would have gotten to this point or whether it was really just as times changed, unions became less relevant in the country. And certainly right-to-work states, it's hard to see that as necessarily anti-union instead of just maybe pro-worker and having the option not to join a union. Where do you come down?
Well, certainly I'm in South Carolina, where we do have a right-to-work state. And obviously, initially, when labor unions were created, there was great purpose there. But coming from business now into Congress, I've seen firsthand some of the productivity issues when labor unions are involved. And in fact, I saw that in my very first private sector job right out of college when I graduated from the Citadel, the military college of South Carolina, where the technology firm I was at, we were 5, 6, 7, 8 times more productive than the labor union workers of the client we were working for. And when you look at this week and seeing the power of labor unions when we're having such critical supply chain issues, when our supply chain is enormously fragile, the threat of a catastrophic strike because they don't like their wages when they were making $130,000 on average without any degrees beyond high school, which is, I think, a great wage right now, to increase it the way that they had, one of the highest pay hikes in the industry's history, in the middle of everything that we're going on right now that our country is facing, knowing that the consumer is going to be taking that bill and paying that bill when they go to the store. I question where their heart is, whether it's in the right place or not.
Congressman Edwards, Congresswoman.
Well, I mean, let me just say, with all due respect to the Congresswoman, I think that what workers are realizing is that they have really strengthened numbers in terms of organizing. And these organizing drives aren't just taking place in the private sector, but in the nonprofit sector that I work in, a lot of nonprofit organizations are facing union drives right now. I even participated in a union organizing drive with the Democratic National Committee, where those workers worked out an arrangement with the management for organizing. And so I think it's important for us to create a structure and rules that allow unions to organize without workers being intimidated and bullied and fired for trying to organize a labor union. And I don't agree at all. I do think that the decision on the railway negotiation had as much to do with wages as it did to do with quality of work life, the ability to take off a day for sick leave without the threat of being fired. These are sort of basic things that those of us who are in the white collar sector don't get fired because we have to take a day off for sick leave. And yet in some of these sectors, workers are subject to that. And so I do think that there is power in that kind of organizing. And I welcome that. And I think employers should welcome that.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.